Hey everyone, this is Ryder from YoGov and Skip, and it's Sunday, April 26th. I'm here with Isla. She's napping on my arm. Wanted to do a quick video on jobs, okay? 20% of the U.S. workforce is unemployed right now, so we've done a lot of research in the last couple days on who's hiring, what industries, and specific companies that are hiring now. So I'm going to go over our list here in detail, and I'm going to leave links to the longer blog post we did too. But bottom line, we want to help as many people as possible. Obviously, when it's safe to do so, get back on their feet. Obviously, a lot of what we've been doing is helping people apply for grants and loans, get financial advice, and also apply for unemployment, those types of things. But of course, when we start to think ahead about the new normal, it's important to consider, what jobs are going to be out there. So this is the first post in a long series of posts we'll do on this. I hope it's helpful. I want to say one quick thing before we dive in. First, thanks for subscribing. If you have subscribed, it really means a lot. I've seen so many new subscribers the past couple of days. If you haven't, consider subscribing. You can click the red button. It helps motivate Isla and I to do these videos and do the research that we do for a lot of these videos, because a lot of it takes time to look up some of this information. So thanks again. Okay, on the loan programs for small businesses or independent contractors, quick update there. I did some videos on this already, so you can check out the previous ones, but I will just mention that the PPP and EIDL programs have a lot more funding, so chances are you are probably still waiting, because over 90% of everyone is still waiting to hear back from the Paycheck Protection Program or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. But this week, we think there will be more progress. The EIDL is when you can get up to $1,000 advances per employee, so they may reopen on the SBA website. They may reopen the portal to apply. If we find out, we'll do a video and I'll let you know. Otherwise, if you're in the queue, they're probably going to process more this week, so stay tuned. $60 billion is allocated towards the EIDL, $310 billion towards the Paycheck Protection Program. And again, all of that just gets distributed through lenders and banks. We have a list of all the banks and lenders that are accepting PPP applications. I will also leave that in the comments for you. Okay, so let's dive in here. So here's the unemployment news. Obviously, it's terrible and it's just staggering to see these types of numbers. We've never seen these numbers since 1934 and the Great Depression. My dad told me stories about growing up in the Great Depression because he was born in 1925, and it was just a massive problem then. It looks like we are getting close to those numbers. 1 out of every 5 Americans is now unemployed, and I think that number will continue to rise. Many of the big companies have avoided laying off people in the last 6 weeks because, being optimistic, they thought things would turn around, etc. So there's pros and cons to that. The cons were their workers couldn't apply for unemployment while they were waiting, kind of in this holding pattern. Now I think a lot of these big companies are realizing we need to keep making these cuts. Airlines is a good example. I mean, there are other big companies that are finally laying off thousands of people. So we think we're going to still see the same numbers, the same weekly unemployment insurance numbers, and it could be a quarter of the U.S. in the next week or two that are unemployed. So 5 job areas that could be relevant to you I'm going to talk about right now. So number 1, and what's needed now and is also safe, because a lot of this can be done remotely, is contact tracing. Now, you've probably heard about contact tracing in February when the first few cases came to the U.S. There was talk about, let's track down that one case there, and then quickly became unwieldy because actually we had no idea that so many asymptomatic people were going around, and so tracing all of them quickly became just impossible, which is why lockdown and quarantine happened. Um, so, but here's some information on contact tracing. It is estimated that over 300,000 contact tracers will be needed across the U.S. to properly track COVID-19. So here's what it is. Basically, you will need to interview people who are confirmed to have COVID-19, and this can be done remotely, and discover who they have been in contact with in order to create an exposure map of where the disease would have traveled. And of course, we've probably heard that a few of the tech companies are working on this based on our cell phones to determine that, and that brings up a whole privacy issue as well. But there is tech companies working on making it easy to basically track who I may have been in contact with based on the cell phone in my pocket and where I've been and who I've crossed paths with. You need certain skills for this, but there's no specific degrees required. So you should understand patient confidentiality, have excellent interpersonal skills, have some familiarity with medical terminology, and the ability to enter information into databases and apps to track exposures. Contact tracers that speak other languages besides English are especially in demand right now. So keep that in mind. Most of these jobs are through public health resources at the state or local levels. We're working on trying to compile a large listing and database on Skip, but for now that doesn't exist, so it's better to just check local resources. If you think this might be good for your situation, we're going to do an in-depth video on this in the next day or two as well, including interviewing a contact tracer, so you can get more information on what that's like. Because again, this is, close to 500,000 potential jobs, and if we do believe what some of the experts are saying, until we have, herd immunity, we will all be susceptible to this. And if we want to resume some normalcy and business, we will need to have these systems in place, some of this tracing in place, to quickly identify any potential sources of COVID-19. So keep that in mind. Second piece of work is remote work. This is obvious, but here's what I mean specifically. So there's a lot of freelance work and full-time work in social media, content, search engine optimization, customer service, programming skills. So many of these things can be done online as long as you have internet. It's very possible that you can find remote work during the crisis. So we've looked at a lot of job postings. These are the main jobs that companies are looking for. Obviously, their offline business may be shut down, but they still need help online, creating content. Isla and I do these videos every day. So, there's that too. We've put together a list of websites to find remote jobs postings. So again, that'll be in the blog post that I leave in the description. Third thing is finding work at a grocery store or other essential business. Here's the important caveat. If you are not high risk and you can afford to be working in an environment where you might be exposed to coronavirus, even with the proper precautions, these types of businesses are still open and they are still hiring lots of people. And the demand is increasing. I'm not even talking about the Instacart and Amazon delivery services. They're hiring massive numbers of people. Of course, those workers are also planning a strike this week because they're trying to get better conditions and compensation. That's another story. But pharmacies and grocery stores near you are still looking for cashiers, baggers, etc. We're gonna put together a list on the blog post as well. There is a list of the grocery stores and retail chains that are still hiring. These include Target, Sam's Club, Walmart, CVS, and Safeway. Okay. Fourth potential job option, teaching and tutoring online. Okay. If you have education experience, and even if you don't have credentials, but you're doing what I'm doing and you can communicate things, or you have expertise in some area, there are companies that offer online classes which are hiring in huge numbers. Obviously, there are a lot of companies where just speaking English and helping people learn English is a huge benefit. But OutSchool is an online marketplace of live video classes for children, and it is looking to hire 5,000 new teachers, okay? They do not require formal credentials in education. The earnings depend on enrollment, but usually average $40 an hour. We'll leave a link to that as well. Finally, the fifth type of job that may be relevant to you now is looking for a job at a company that is helping create these remote work tools. So if this has taught us anything, it's that a lot of industries are going to have a tough time rebounding, and there are some that will continue to grow. Our ability to communicate over video and chat is only going to grow, and it's so important. Companies like Zoom, Slack, and Asana are growing in so many ways and trying to keep up. And they're hiring dozens of new positions. So we've looked at their job listings. Some require programming and engineering skills, but others are in customer service, marketing, some of this content work we talked about. So check their open positions, Zoom, Slack, and Asana. They're all hiring. A few others in the blog post as well that we'll mention. So just to recap, the quick recap: contact tracing. We'll do a separate video on that. Remote work such as writing, content, SEO. Essential business like a grocery store or delivery service. Teaching or tutoring online, and applying for a job at a company building these tools, building Zoom, Slack, Asana, and others. If we believe that those companies are only going to grow in the coming months and years. Thanks so much. On behalf of Isla and I, we really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're staying home, staying safe and healthy, and looking forward to doing our next video very soon. Thanks.